For more on the story, we'll welcome Marco Vicenzino to the program. He is an international affairs commentator and director of the Global Strategy Project. Thank you so much for joining us here on France 24. Now, at the last EU summit in October, leaders were making positive overtures towards Ankara, but now they're saying Turkey hasn't improved its behavior. So why is the EU holding off on some bigger deterrence?
It's been a cat and mouse game with respect to the Eastern Mediterranean. In early October, at the last major summit of European leaders, there was just a few days leading up to the summit, Turkey pulled back in terms of its operations. And that gave an opportunity for European leaders to hold off on sanctions. But less than 2 weeks after that summit, by mid-October, Turkish ships were back in those disputed maritime waters. And as time has gone by, it's been expanding and extending its presence there. So as a result, we see as we approach this current summit, I think the decision has been made. It's time by the European leaders, and particularly by the push of French President Macron. They said it's time to pass sanctions. Now, are these serious sanctions? Or I think it's probably much more serious sanctions can be made possible. But I think this is a warning to Turkey. And it's a very complex relationship between the European Union and Turkey. Obviously, there's the economic element, the political element, the diplomatic element, and several factors that go beyond simply exploration of what one would call violations of maritime waters in the Eastern Mediterranean. It obviously involves the fallout of the war in Syria. You're looking at North Africa, the Libya situation. So this is not just the issue of the Eastern Mediterranean. It's a very important issue, but it's one link of a broader, more complex.
Now, President Erdogan is reacting how we could expect, saying he's not worried by these sanctions. So how much damage, though, could these sanctions actually do to an economy that's already really hurting?
The Turkish lira has lost about 24% of its value in the last year alone. Internally, there are serious economic issues, which in part, in my opinion, explains in part why Erdogan has become so aggressive externally in terms of Turkey's reach beyond, not just within its immediate region itself, but beyond. I've seen places in the Caucasus Mountains with the war with Azerbaijan. In my opinion, it's still not the serious sanctions that can be implemented we're still not there yet. This is more of a symbol, of a sign. And obviously, when you do have sanctions that are being passed, although these sanctions themselves might not be that serious, it sends a bad news to the broader international market. Not basically encouraging investment into Turkey. It puts Turkey more into a pariah category. So I would say these sanctions, although if they may wind up being sanctions, actually they're more of a threat to more serious sanctions that can come afterward. But even with these light sanctions, the message that it sends out in terms of Turkey's position economically in the broader global economy doesn't make it look good at all.
Marco Vicenzino from the Global Strategy Project, thank you so much for that analysis.